turn things over to Steve to introduce himself and tell us all about how to stay safe outdoors.
Thank you, Christina, and good evening, everybody. So my name is Steve Chapman. I'm a volunteer with Coquitlam Search and Rescue, and I've been doing that job now for over 8 years. It's a fun job, lots of exciting things happening. And our main thing we do is we rescue people who become injured or become lost on the mountains. And what we're here tonight to do is to actually help you not have that happen to yourself. So this is a presentation that's put together by Adventure Smart. It's called Hug a Tree and Survive. So we're going to give you a few tips about what to do if you become lost, and most importantly, not to become lost in the first place. So the format of the evening is I'll give you a little bit of an introduction, and then after that we're going to play a video, and we're all going to really concentrate on what's going on in that video, because after that video there's going to be a lot of questions that you're going to be tested on. So really need you to concentrate. Following that, what's going to happen is my wife's going to come in and she's going to demonstrate how to stay warm in the outdoors if you're stuck out all night. And then to finish off the session, we're going to have questions and answers. So you'll be able to ask me anything you like about the outdoors, what we do in search and rescue, how to survive, what to take. So start thinking about your questions right away. So in terms of what we want to educate you with today, there's 4 main things. So the first thing is, if you're with your parents or another person who's looking after you, and you're going out to leave your parents, then always tell that person where you're going. Super important. And also tell your mum or dad when you're planning on being back. So always tell someone where you're going, a responsible adult, because if you do get lost, then search and rescue or your parents need to start to know where to look. The second thing is, if you do get lost, then you want to stay where you are, and that's where the name Hug a Tree comes from. So you hug a tree and stay where you are, because when search and rescue are looking for you, it's really difficult for us to find someone who keeps moving around. So once you're lost, stay where you are. And the third thing is, it might take a while for search and rescue to find you. So if that's the case, then you need to stay dry and warm. So use whatever's in your backpack and whatever's around your tree that you're hugging to stay dry and warm, because you might have to stay out in the cold and maybe the wet all night. And the fourth thing is, rest assured, us guys and girls in search and rescue, we will come looking for you. And when you hear us calling and blowing our whistles, then what we would like you to do is to make as much noise as you possibly can. So that will help us find you. And everyone in search and rescue is a friendly person wanting to actually find you and get back to your mum and dad if you become lost. So without any further delay, what we're going to do is play the special video. So I'm just going to share my screen now. And Christina, if this doesn't work, let me know straight away.
Hi, my name is Erin and I'm a search and rescue volunteer. I'm here today to tell you a story about a boy named John. He got lost in the woods and hugged a tree to survive. John had looked forward to this camping trip with his parents and sister Emily for weeks. He and Emily helped to set up the camp, but John just couldn't wait to start exploring.
Anybody hungry?
I'm hungry.
Great, I'll make lunch. You can look around until it's ready, but don't go too far.
Okay. John started on his short walk before lunch. He knew better than to take off alone into the woods. And John also knew to always tell an adult where he was going. But that day, he was just too excited. Plus, he wasn't planning on going far. John went further and further into the woods, never realizing how far from the campsite he was getting. John forgot everything he learned about safety in the woods. He was too busy checking stuff out to pay attention. He didn't even look for landmarks like large trees or rocks or hills to help him find his way back to the campsite.
Wow, is it ever hot out? Which way is the campsite? Is it down there? No, it couldn't be. It's this way. Oh no, I don't know where it is. Good move, John. You didn't even tell Mom and Dad where you were headed. My parents warned me about this. They said it could happen to anyone. Well, it's happening to me. Mom! Dad! Where am I?
John was all alone in the woods. The bush was thick, too thick to see through and too high to see over. At first, John panicked. He started to run, wearing himself down and going farther away from the campsite. It was the worst thing he could do. But he didn't keep running. If he did, he would have gone further away and might have tripped and hurt himself. Instead, he stayed put and hugged a tree, which kept him in one place and easy to find. A tree is a safe place to be if you are ever lost in the woods. So hug a tree and stay put. Your tree will shelter you, help you feel better, and keep you in one place so that you can be found. You can hug it, lean against it, or sit by it. A tree can help you stay put so that you can be found faster. John was safe. He was doing the right thing, making himself comfortable beside his tree. John knew that by now his parents would be worried about him. Just as John thought, his parents called the police soon after he missed lunch. A search was being organized with a local search and rescue team. John's parents spoke to the search manager, telling him what John looks like and what he is wearing.
Which way did he go?
I think he went that way.
So over that way?
She really didn't know which way John went. Nobody knew. John forgot the first important thing, to tell an adult where he was going.
Hello everyone, I'll be your search manager today. We're looking for a 9-year-old boy. His name is John. He's wearing blue jeans, a red jacket, black ball cap, and size 6 running shoes. He has a backpack with some food and water, a whistle, and an emergency shelter.
The searchers are trained professionals. They really care about you and your family.
John! John!
The searchers looked everywhere.
John!
Searchers will be yelling your name.
John!
Because they are yelling really loud, they may sound like they are angry, but they are not angry at all. No one will be angry that you're lost. They only want you back safe and sound. They will be very happy to see you. The sun began to set and John started to feel cold. so he gathered some small branches and dry grass to put between him and the ground to keep warm and dry. Then John put his jacket on, and he zipped up and tucked in to help stay warm. Then John took his emergency shelter out of his backpack.
Okay, I'm going to wrap the emergency shelter around me. The shelter will keep moisture out and heat in. Now I am warm and dry. What was that? I'm scared. There it is again. No, wait, it's probably just a small animal moving around. They sure can make a lot of noise. Even if it's something big, it will be scared of me. I'm bigger and I smell like a human. That means danger to them. If it's something big, I'll blow my whistle at it good and hard. That will scare it away. Plus, people will be looking for me by now, that's for sure. If I blow my whistle, that will help them find me right here, safe by my tree.
Throughout the night, everyone kept looking. A person searching for you at night might look or sound scary, crashing through the bush and calling out your name. But they are there to help. The searchers looked through the night, but still could not find John. The next day, more people joined the search. John used his whistle to attract attention. A whistle is louder than your voice, and it takes less energy to use when you are tired. John blew his whistle 3 times, waited, and then did it again. This is the signal for help. You can repeat this until you are found. But the searchers were not close enough to hear John. Sometimes a helicopter is used to help search because it can cover more ground than people searching on foot. If possible, choose your tree by a small clearing so searchers in a helicopter can see you more easily. But don't go too far looking for a clearing. It's better to stay put. John knew how to be heard with his whistle, and also how to be seen. He left clues for the searchers. John gathered branches to make a big X close to his tree. Other things John could have done to be seen are putting rocks together to make a large SOS. Or if the ground is soft, dragging your foot in the dirt or using a stick to make an SOS. A large arrow could be made pointing to John's tree. While that might not look like much, to ground searchers or a pilot, it's like a big neon sign saying, "Here I am." From the ground or from the air, bright clothes are easier to spot. We put John in a dark coat to show how hard it is for a pilot to see him. Now, John has a red coat on. See how much easier it is to spot John from the air? You're also easier to spot if you make yourself big. You can do that by lying down with your arms and legs spread out, but it may not work in tall grass. Movement also helps searchers see you. It's a good idea to wave your shelter or bright-colored coat. If you are spotted by a helicopter rescue team, first make sure that they see you. Then go back to your tree and wait. If the helicopter lands, crouch down facing your tree. Cover your face to protect it from flying debris. Then wait by your tree until a rescue team member comes to get you. These people are experienced trackers. They're looking at footprints to see if they might be John's. It's one of the ways they can tell which way John went.
Search base, this is Tracker Team.
This is Search Base. Go ahead, Tracker Team.
Our location is 14 Uniform 06.
By 55, 23, 942. We've discovered some footprints that match the child's shoes.
Roger, Tracker Team. We'll send a search and rescue dog to your location.
A search and rescue dog is sometimes used to help with the search. To alert the search team, it might bark loudly if it finds you. Don't be afraid of the dog's barking. The dog, along with the searchers, are there to help find you. The rescue dog joined in the search to help find John, and it wasn't too long before they were getting close to where John was hugging his tree.
John! John!
John heard the searchers and blew 3 blasts on his whistle, over and over again so the searchers could hear him. He also waved his shelter so they could see him.
John, I'm so glad we found you.
I'm so happy to see you guys.
Us too. Are you okay? You able to walk back with us to camp?
Yeah, I'm okay. I can make it.
Okay, I'm just gonna call it in.
Search base, this is tracker team.
Search base, go ahead.
We've located the boy.
He is alive and well. We are bringing him back to base.
Copy, that's great news. I'll let the parents know.
Mom!
John,
Mommy, I missed you.
I missed you too. You've scared me. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
John might have been found faster had he told an adult where he was going or not started running as soon as he realized that he was lost. But after he got over his panic, John did the right thing and was found because he used his head and remembered what he was taught. Hug a tree and stay put. Keep warm and dry. Help searchers by answering their calls. John was found safe and sound because he remembered and used his Hug a Tree and Survive training. John loves camping, and he and his family will camp again.
So did everyone enjoy that video? Good. It's a fun video. So now is the hard part for everyone out there because there's going to be questions and answers. So this part, what I'm going to do is, rather than have the backwards and forwards, I'm going to read out the first questions because it's going to become a little bit difficult. And some of the answers here I've got in front of me weren't actually explained that well in the video. So the first question, maybe if you put your hand up, if you actually know the answer, then I can see how many people out there actually, let's ask the question first, actually saw the answer in the video. So the first question is, what are you meant to do if you get lost? So a few hands out there. Yeah. So stay put and hug a tree. The second question is, how do you pick a tree? Well, they didn't really go into that in a video, but if it's in a clearing, that's good because it's easier for search and rescue to find. And also, you don't want to be the tallest tree in the area because it may be struck by lightning. So something which is the same size as everything else in the forest. So what did John make at the base of his tree? Well, he made a nest. So he took branches and twigs and leaves and anything else he could find, and then he put it on the ground so that it stopped him from feeling the cold from underneath, knowing that he may have to stay there a long time. The cold ground will make you cold if you sit directly on the ground. So where did John find his emergency shelter? Well, he found it in his backpack, and it's always a really good idea, and this is something I do, is to carry the emergency shelter wherever you go. These silver bags are really, really small and light, and you don't even need a backpack. You can even put it in your pocket, and it's not too bulky at all. And it's always there in case something like this, like something like getting lost, happens. So what was the color of John's emergency shelter? It was silver. It was a reflective blanket, and anything that's bright colored is really good for search and rescue to find. So his emergency shelter was silver, but wearing red like this or real bright colors always helps search and rescue find you easier. Stands out from the surrounding trees and vegetation. So how did the search and rescue people in the video find out which way John went? Well, they found tracks in the mud, so they knew what size his foot was, and hey, that's probably John, and he's gone off in that way. So that gave him a good measure of where he may have gone. So what else did his footprints when the search and rescue people tell the search and rescue people? Well, it actually gave the dogs they had them a scent. Once they knew it was his shoe, then the dog was able to sniff that footprint and actually get onto John's scent. Search and rescue quite often have dogs, and they're really, really good in finding your smell and tracking you down. So what ways did John attract the searchers' attention? Well, he shouted and he used his whistle. It's always a good idea on your outdoor clothing to have a whistle always attached. So if you get into trouble, you can easily blow it. And blowing a whistle is a lot easier than shouting because you become tired a lot less quick. And the way to blow a whistle is to do 3 long blasts. 3 long blasts of a whistle is understood by everybody in search and rescue as I need help. So if you're stuck out all night, keep blowing that whistle in sets of 3 and we'll easily find you then. So what would you do if you heard a sound in the dark? Well, you would just stay there and not worry. You know, there's animals in the back country, but most are just passing by. They have no interest on you. So don't be scared. They will move on and leave you alone. So what is another way of signaling? Well, John used a few different ways. So he put a big X out of sticks. He made SOS out of stones on the ground. And he also used his emergency blanket and waved it so that a helicopter in the air would be able to see it. So anything big on the ground, and if you're in an opening or a clearing, that's even better because the helicopter from search and rescue will be able to find you a lot easier. He could have also used a mirror to reflect the sun up at the helicopter and made himself big on the ground. And that's exactly what you should do if you see the helicopter. Wave your emergency blanket, make yourself look big, and it'll help the pilot and the people in the helicopter find you easier. So those are the questions which normally I would have been able to ask you, but because we're doing it this way, unfortunately we couldn't do that today. But there will be questions later on. So what I'm going to do now is show you, with the help of my wife, how to stay dry and warm. So I'm going to call my wife in here.
Hello.
And I'm going to turn the background off because it will look weird.
Oh,
there she is.
There I am. Oh, ready for a hike or two.
So I don't know how this is going to work. This is my wife, Jackie, and she's got lost in the woods and she's found a tree.
Oh. A tree.
Yeah, so she's got a tree here, and she's got a feeling that it's going to take a while for search and rescue to find her. So she's wrapping up warm. So what she's doing, she's got a nice woolly hat on, and she's got a waterproof jacket, which she's tightened right up, because when you tighten things up, it stops the air escaping and it keeps you warm. So everything is tucked in and everything is zipped up. And what she's also done is she's looked around a tree and she's found twigs and branches, and she's made a pile of them on the ground there. Unfortunately, we don't have lots of twigs and branches in the house, so we're having to use the dog basket instead. But just imagine that is the twigs and branches by the base of the tree. And what that will do is help us stay warm during the course of the night. So she's going to sit down on those twigs and branches.
Ooh.
And if it's raining or cold, then she wants to keep out of that. So this is where she's going to use the emergency blanket. So this is the emergency blanket unfolded. And what she's doing is she's covering her body totally up. And she's making a lot of noise as she does it. And what that silver foil does, it does a couple of things. It reflects her body heat back in, so none of the heat is escaping. And it also keeps any rain out, so it will keep her dry as well. So even if she didn't have a waterproof jacket on, she would stay dry with that. So I'm sure everybody out there will get one of these emergency blankets at some point in time. When you get your own, then don't open it until you actually need it, because it never packs up to the size that it was. So you want to keep it in its little pouch like this until you actually need it. So that concludes the demonstration by Jackie. She's happy by a tree. She's nice and dry and warm, and she'll be listening out for search and rescue during the course of the night. And then if she hears any noise, she won't be scared of it. And if she hears voices from search and rescue, she will be shouting and blowing her whistle. So thank you, Jackie. Nice demonstration.
Thank you. I'll have my cup of tea now.
She can go and leave me to the rest of the presentation.
Oh, good. See ya.
Everyone wants to give Jackie a round of applause. She would appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Tina. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got a few rounds of applause going on there.
Oh, good.
And now she's going to leave me to it. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to do something that is going to involve everybody. So we have a little quiz, and the quiz is going to be a simple yes or no. So when you think the answer is yes, then we're going to, if you can do this, you can go to reactions at the bottom and raise hand, just like that. And if you think it's no, then don't raise the hand, just lower it, just like that. If that's too complicated, parents may want to help with that, then you can just go on camera and put your hand up like that instead. Either works. And we'll see if the majority of people have the right answers or not. So without further ado, I am going to start off the quiz by sharing the screen. So can you see that, Christina?
Yep, looks good.
Okay.
There's just a bit, I think your chat box is just floating in the middle of the screen, so it's, you just see that.
Oh, okay. I probably got the wrong one, but that's all right. I'll just move that
Yeah,
out.
that's great.
Okay. So true or false? Unfortunately, I can't see everybody's answers now. I'm sharing the screen, so I'll just have to imagine everybody answering correctly. So whistles can be used to alert searchers as to where you are and to scare off wild animals. True or false? So I
We got
have
lots of thumbs up, lots of hands up, lots of check marks.
okay, perfect. So you'll have to be my eyes, Christine.
Sure
Yes,
thing. Yeah.
I think everybody has got the right answer to that. Yeah, so the whistle can be used to alert searchers and scare off wild animals. Animals generally don't like loud noises, so the louder you are, the better. So true, yeah. So you should sneak away from your parents and not tell them where you're going. True or false?
I'm getting lots of head shakes and thumbs downs.
Perfect. So yeah, always tell your parents where you're going and when you're planning to be back. Never sneak away from them. False. So when you feel you're lost, you should stay put and hug a tree. True or false?
Yep, getting lots of thumbs ups, green lights.
Cool. That's obviously true. So you should wear dark clothing whenever you go hiking or exploring in the woods.
Getting lots of X's of this one.
Perfect. We have a good group here. So this isn't something that was covered in the video. So is it a smart idea to bring a friend with you when you go outside?
Yeah, we're getting lots of check marks. A little more of a mixed response, but yeah, in general.
Yeah, we didn't cover that, but it's absolutely true. So it's always, the saying goes, safety in numbers. So the more of you, the better. So searchers only want to help you even if they sound loud and scary, like myself now.
Yeah, yep.
Cool. So you can keep warm and dry by using your emergency blanket and building a nest. Shouldn't be any excuse to get this one wrong because Jackie demonstrated that quite nicely.
Yeah.
In the warmth of our home. So yeah, that's true. So you should panic and run around if you feel lost. True or false?
I like it. Of course not. That's the best answer.
Yeah, but that's what John did initially. So it is easy to panic. So to help searchers find you, you can make SOS signals in the clearing. True or false?
Getting lots of thumbs up for this one too.
Yeah, I think these questions are just a little bit too easy. So we've got to the end of the questions, and this is a summary thing here. So the 4 points, if nobody is going to remember anything else, is always tell an adult where you're going when you're in the backcountry or camping. If you do get lost, hug a tree and stay put. And the third thing is, when you're at that tree, keep warm and dry by building your nest, then putting a blanket on. And then when you hear a search and rescuers come looking for you, make noise, shout, and blow your whistle. So those are the 4 main things. So I'm going to stop sharing now. And we will do what I always find to be the most fun part of the evening, the questions and answers. So I'll turn it back to you, Christina, to organize the question and answer session.
Well, thanks so much, Steve. There's lots of really good information in there. Maybe we'll just use the chat. Does anybody have any questions, either about anything that Steve covered or anything that he didn't cover that you're curious about? So a couple questions. Should you literally hug the tree?
I mean, not really. The word hug is more of a figurative thing, because if you're hugging a tree, you're staying in the same place. The main thing really is to find one spot and stay where it is. And there might not even be a tree there to hug. It could be in a different part of the world where there's no hug. So it could be a rock or a bush or anything. So as long as that object that you're hugging isn't moving, then you don't need to hug it. You just need to stay by it.
And if you're injured, is there anything that you should do differently than what we talked about tonight?
Not really. Everything we've talked about still applies. If you are injured, then it depends on the kind of injury. So there's not going to be anyone there to help you with that injury. So it's really a good idea to know some first aid so that you can treat yourself. So for example, if you've cut yourself, then you might want to put a band-aid on or a bandage if you have that in your first aid kit. But you are literally on your own with attention to injuries until search and rescue comes. So look after yourself and use what you have in your pack to administer your own first aid if you have something.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that too, about sort of what you should have in your pack maybe when you go out hiking?
Yeah, so the 10 essentials is the gold standard for what you should take. So out of those things, I always say a source of light, a flashlight or a headlamp is the most useful thing, because if you are hiking and you're surprised by dark, that source of light will help you follow the trail and get back. If you don't have a light, then you can't see the trail and you can't move anymore. With search and rescue, then that is by far the most common cause of us having to come and look for someone. The fact that someone's gone for a hike, it's taken longer than expected, and they've gone into darkness and can't find their way home. So the second thing is extra food and water. So you want water so you don't become dehydrated, the food so you don't become hungry because you may be out a long time, but also the food gives you energy. So when you're in the cold, long, dark night, that food will give you energy and help you keep warm. So even if you have sandwiches and healthy things in your backpack, then also take some candy, sweets, something high in sugar that will give you that energy boost. The third thing is extra clothing. So always have a waterproof jacket, even on a dry day, because the weather forecast can be wrong, and extra layers. So an extra fleece jacket, gloves, toque, stuff that will keep you warmer during the course of the night, because what's good for when you're hiking during the day might not be enough to keep you warm during the night. And the fourth thing is navigational aids. So always have a map, a compass, old-fashioned, but those are the most reliable things to carry. Know how to use them. And then if you have some more high-tech things like GPSs and phones and watches that tell you where you are, they're all fine, but just remember that anything electronic can get wet or break, and you might not be able to use that. So map and compass are the most important things to have. The fifth thing is emergency shelter. We've covered that pretty well. So silver blanket is good. And sometimes when I'm taking a group out, I'll take a really big emergency shelter that can have 10, 12 people in. I usually bring that to these presentations, and I think one time I got 20 children in this one shelter. Not something to do in this day and age, but certainly for the future. Signaling devices, so whistle is good. I sometimes carry an air horn as well, which is really, really loud and good for scaring animals. And a mobile phone is a signaling device as well for calling help, but sometimes that doesn't work if you're out of cell reception or your battery is dead. First aid kit, so we talked a little bit about that. So basic first aid kit with bandages and band-aids, that kind of thing. Something to help you get through scrapes and cuts and bruises. Pocket knife for survival. We're getting into a bit more advanced things here, but a knife has 101 different uses: repairing broken equipment, making kindling for campfires, that kind of thing. And that ties in with the next item, which is a fire starter. So always got to be really, really careful about fires. So I wouldn't recommend starting one unless there's an adult there. You can survive with your blanket, but in some circumstances, making a fire can be a very useful thing for staying warm during the night if it's really, really cold. There's so many problems with making fires in this part of the world, because you could start an uncontrolled fire, that most of the time I would just say don't think about doing that. But it is in the 10 essentials list. And then the final item is sun protection. So having sunscreen, sun hat if you're out in the sun. And also we live in a forest with lots of bugs, so having bug protection as well is also a good idea for the summer months. And so those are the 10 essentials. And then if you are going on a planned hike, then similar to the hug a tree rule, always make a trip plan which has detail of where you're going, so someone responsible knows where you're planning on going and can come and find you if you don't come back.
Well, this is kind of a fun one. What's your favorite thing about being in search and rescue?
That's a good question. There's so many great things about being in search and rescue. I think for me, the sense of camaraderie, the friends we have, we all rely on one another. So that is up there amongst the top things. The other thing is that it always gives you a great feeling when you're able to help people. You know, if you've started the evening watching the television, that call comes in, you've gone out into the cold and wet, you found someone, and then when you finally get back into bed, sometimes the next morning you can lie there thinking, actually, last night was good because I saved someone's life.
Maybe you want to talk a little bit more about the tracking bits that both that we saw in the movie, and also what you can do to kind of be seen, how to let people know where you are or where you came from, where you went.
Yeah, so you know, when you're going for a regular hike, you're not necessarily laying down signals because you want to leave no trace, but as soon as you are lost and you want someone to find you, then you want to leave as many signs for the trackers as you possibly can. So if you see a patch of mud, then plonk that foot right into the mud and make a big footprint. Make little arrows out of twigs. So if someone finds that footprint, it's pointing in the direction that you're traveling in. And then disrupt as much of the environment as you can. So break twigs, stomp down long grass. Just try and make as big an impact on that environment as you can, because as soon as a search and rescue tracker finds that, they'll see that as a clue and then they'll continue looking. If you have flagging tape with you, then you can use that as well. But most people don't carry that with them on a casual basis.
And we just have a little bit more questions about animals and kind of what to do about if you come across one or you see one, or I think in Coquitlam there are big animals.
So the main thing is, I guess, above anything, is don't be scared that they share the same countryside as we do. We want to give them as large a distance as we can. So certainly if you see a bear, a deer, a moose, or pretty much anything, then stay as far away from it as you can and don't approach it. And 99 times out of 100, that animal will just continue going about its business and move off, and nothing to worry about. So sometimes you might be on a trail and come across something by surprise. So I know that's happened to me lots of times I've actually been so close to a bear I could have touched it, and I didn't see it there because I came around the corner, but no big deal. So what you want to do is just slowly back away, make yourself look big, and talk to it in a very assertive manner. The bear will know that you're human. The bear won't want any further interaction with you, and the bear will back away. If it's a cougar, then it's a little bit different. Cougars are very, very rare. I've never ever seen a cougar in the wild, but with a cougar, you want to make yourself look big and loud and try and scare it off like a big bad cat.
Yeah, and just sort of like what happens if there's like wolves or something. So something when you feel like there's more than one.
I've never ever seen a wolf as well, but usually they just keep to themselves, that they don't see humans as prey. But again, keep your distance and just make sure that the wolf knows you're the boss. So be assertive, be loud, and if they show what I would call an unhealthy interest in you, then try and scare them away. So throw sticks, stones, and stay with people in your group as well. So stay together. That's always a good philosophy in that kind of situation.
Right on. Well, I think that's like pretty much it. I think we got most of the things out of the chat here. Do you have any parting words for us?
No, I've just seen one question. What if you're fatally injured? Then that was a bit funny.
Answers itself.
Yeah, there's no hope. Yes. So the 4 points, I guess, is tell someone where you're going, hug a tree and stay put, stay dry and warm, and listen for search and rescue, and everything should be good. And I hope everyone there stays safe when you get outside again, which will hopefully be soon. And thank you everyone for listening in this evening.
Well, thanks so much for sharing all your knowledge and expertise with us, and for taking all of our questions. I know I learned new things too, so it's always fun. Yeah, and thanks for everybody for being with us over your evening, spending some time with us this evening. We have these events all the time, so stay tuned to our newsletters and our social media for the ones that are coming up in the spring. And have a great rest of your evening.
Good night. Bye.